It's not a good thing to tell somebody that they don't look well, but you look tired.
Oh,
You've got me worried.
Thank you. No, it's, I wish I could tell you it's because I didn't sleep last night, but the truth is I did. I slept like a log. Problem is, though, I just woke up feeling as if I hadn't slept in days.
It's not good.
No, but, I really think it's just a letdown, you know? I was feeling so hopeful when Mike had Elliot on the stand. I was so convinced that he was guilty. But I guess maybe it was just that I was hoping that he was guilty. You know, it would have made things very neat and very convenient.
Oh, yeah, well, it would have been perfect, but life isn't usually that neat.
No. I wasn't hoping that they'd, you know, convict Elliot. It's just that if the jury thought that he could have committed the murder, then that would have been the reasonable doubt that Draper needed.
Yeah, but it isn't necessary that they believe that somebody else is guilty. The important thing is that they believe that Draper is innocent, and that's what they're going to think today when they hear him testify.
Do you really believe that?
Yes. You know Draper's going to be convincing.
I know Draper's going to be convincing because I know Draper. The jury doesn't know him.
April. Oh, honey, hi. Hi, Nicole. How are you?
Okay. You can't seem to stay away from this courtroom, can you?
Well, actually, I didn't come to see the trial. I can't bear that whole horrible thing, but I came to see my very best friend. You don't think I'm still your friend, I can tell.
Raven, what you did yesterday wasn't exactly an act of friendship. Well, at least not for Draper.
You mean for going on the stand and telling the truth about Elliot? So what was I supposed to do?
Nothing, I suppose.
Look, April, I didn't want to say anything. I made Elliot promise not to say anything about us being together that night. But we didn't know that Margot was going to be murdered. I'm sorry.
It's all right. You don't have to apologize. I know my mother was murdered. I also know that it wasn't my husband who did it.
Well, of course he didn't do it. I know that. I know Draper just about as well as you do. I was engaged to him first, you know.
Oh, that's right. I remember.
I know Draper couldn't have done anything like that. And they'll find out it's a big mistake when he goes on the stand and tells the truth. That's what he's going to do, right? Mike Karr's going to call him up there?
Yes, Draper's going to testify today. I gather you plan to attend.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss it. Can I sit with you, too?
Raven, why haven't you been in the courtroom before this?
I told you. I just didn't want anyone to know I was in town.
Why? I mean, why the big mystery?
I don't know. I felt like it. You know me.
Yes, I do.
April, look. I did not mean to hurt you or Draper. It's just Elliot called me and he was very upset. He was just trying to protect me and it made him look like he was a suspect. So what could I do? I'm the only one who knew he was very far away from that apartment when the murder took place.
Look, I'm not trying to blame you.
Good. Made me come out of hiding anyway, and I'm glad because now I can be here to help my friend.
What about your husband?
Logan and I are separated, you know that? I saw him yesterday. I also saw my little baby. He's adorable. Have you seen him?
Not recently.
You know, it's really a shame that you and Draper didn't keep him. I was really sorry about that. You two would have made lovely parents.
They will make lovely parents.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I mean, it's obvious you're going to have a baby of your own. I was so happy when I heard the news.
I'm sure you were.
Okay, you can come in now.
You with that man?
I don't know. I can't just... It's okay. Let's stay here.
All rise. The Criminal Court of the County of Monticello is now in session. The Honorable Martin Oliveri presiding. Be seated.
Mr. Nelson, does the prosecution wish to call another witness?
No, Your Honor. This time the prosecution rests.
Very well. Mr. Karr, does the defense wish to call its first witness?
We do, Your Honor. We call the defendant, Draper Scott.
Mr. Draper Scott, please take the stand. Place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name.
Draper Scott.
Be seated.
Mr. Scott, what is your profession?
I'm an attorney.
In fact, for the information of the jury, I think it should be stated that you have been my law associate for a period of almost 3 years.
That's right.
Are you married?
Yes, I am.
Your wife is April Kavanaugh Scott, the daughter of the deceased.
That's right.
Where do you live?
Here in Monticello, actually in a suburb, Oakdale.
You and your wife are expecting your first child, is that right?
Yes, yes we are.
All in all, prior to this tragedy, which has brought us into this courtroom, would you have described yourself as a contented person?
I would say I was much more than that. I was a very happy, a very fortunate man.
But like most of us, you weren't completely free of problems, were you? We've heard testimony in this courtroom to the effect that you did not get along well with your wife's mother.
Yes, that's true. But not all the time. There were periods when we did get along.
Had you been getting along well recently?
Yes, we had. But I think that was due to the fact that my wife and I were expecting our first child.
Margot Dorn was quite pleased about becoming a grandmother, wasn't she?
Oh, yes, she was.
In fact, didn't she set up a kind of endowment fund for the child?
Yes. There's a trust fund with $12,000 in it. More is going to be added later when I could have afforded it.
I thought you said that it was Mrs. Dorn's fund.
Well, it is, but you see, the fund is composed of money that I returned to Mrs. Dorn from a loan.
Actually, that was no ordinary debt, was it? You were paying back Margot Dorn for the down payment she made on your home.
Yes, that's true. But it's to Mrs. Dorn's credit that she agreed to use that money for our child. So I accepted the money in the baby's name.
And this happened just a few weeks ago, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
That doesn't sound to me as if you were on bad terms with your mother-in-law.
Oh, we weren't. I mean, until very recently.
What happened then?
I found out that Mrs. Dorn lied to me. I mean, she lied to my wife as well. You see, I was offered a job in New York City, and I found out that Mrs. Dorn forced somebody in New York to withdraw that job offer, and she did that behind my back.
When did you learn the truth about this?
Just the day before the assault.
And how did you feel about what she had done?
I was angry. I was very angry. But I wasn't angry enough to kill anybody.
So after you returned home from New York City, you felt that you had to confront your mother-in-law with the facts you had just learned.
That's right. I had to tell her how I felt.
But you didn't just barge in there, did you? You called her.
Yes, that's right. I called her.
Margot, it's Draper.
Oh, Draper, darling. Hello, how are you? How was your business trip?
Very productive. I learned a great deal.
Well, April was terribly unhappy to have you out of town last night. It's too bad you had to stay over.
I'm afraid she's not much happier now that I'm back. I'm very angry, Margot.
Why did things go that badly?
Look, Margot, I want to talk to you. I want to see you right away.
Oh, you mean you and April?
No, Margot, just me. April wants to come with me, but I won't let her. She's not going to like what I have to say.
What do you mean?
Margot, when I was in New York, I didn't go there just to see a client. I saw David Henson's widow.
Oh, yes, I heard that he had died, the poor man.
I'm sure that makes you very sad, Margot, especially since the two of you were such good friends. Mrs. Henson told me exactly how good. She also told me that her husband would have done anything for you.
Look, whatever she told you was probably grossly exaggerated. I'm afraid the woman does not like me very much.
Look, Margot, I'll be over there in half an hour. We'll talk about it then.
No, Draper, don't come over when you're in such a bad mood. You'll probably say something you'll regret. Look, call me tomorrow and we'll set up a meeting.
No, Margot, it's going to be tonight. If I don't get the answers to these questions, I swear to God, you'll never set foot in my house again.
All right, but not right this minute. I have an errand I have to take care of. Could you make it in about an hour?
I'll see you then.
How long was it before you saw Mrs. Dorn?
About an hour later. Actually, I got to the apartment house about 10 minutes early. I just waited in the car until I saw her go in. She went in and I followed her. The doorman told me that she had gone up, and I knew that because I saw the elevator doors close. So I simply pushed the elevator button and went upstairs.
Oh my God, Margot. Hello, I need an ambulance right away. 123 River Shore Drive. Dorn, D-O-R-N, Margot Dorn. It's in the penthouse. She's in very bad shape. She has a head injury. I don't know if she's dead or alive. It looks like murder. Scott. Draper Scott. Yeah, I'll be here. And hurry.
You said you picked up another fireplace iron, not the poker that was introduced by the prosecution as the murder weapon.
Yes, that's right. I picked it up to protect myself.
And you felt you had to do that because of the noise you'd heard on the terrace.
Yeah, that's right. The noise I heard was a tree that the wind had blown over on the terrace. I assumed that the assailant was still in the apartment. And I certainly didn't want to end up like Mrs. Dorn.
Of course not. So, acting on instinct, you picked up this fireplace iron to protect yourself. And that's how you got the soot on your hands.
Yes, that's right. I probably picked up the wrong end.
But you didn't find anyone in the apartment, did you?
No, I didn't. It was empty.
Is it possible? Are you sure that no one got into that elevator while you were exploring the other rooms of the apartment?
Absolutely. No one was there when I arrived, and no one left while I was there.
Mr. Scott, do you realize what you're saying? Do you realize how impossible you're making this murder sound?
Yes, I do. And I really can't explain it. I only know one thing. I had nothing to do with that murder.
This is so exciting. I just wish that Logan had a more active part.
Well, he can't very well do that. He's Draper's best friend.
Oh, no, I suppose not.
Does the prosecution care to cross-examine this witness?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor, of course.
Very well.
Mr. Scott, you say you didn't get along with your mother-in-law, is that correct?
Yes, sometimes.
Well, that's an American tradition, isn't it, not getting along with your mother-in-law? Except that you carried it a bit far. In fact, the antagonism you felt for Margot Dorn went back a long way, to about a year ago when you first met her. Is that true?
I didn't even realize that my wife had a mother who was alive until that point. Do you understand that Mrs. Dorn refused to even acknowledge her daughter for 25 years?
And you resented that, didn't you?
If you're asking me whether it helped me to like her more as a person, the answer is no.
And you liked it even less when you realized that she was trying to win the affections of her daughter at any cost.
Mr. Nelson, I find nothing wrong with affection. I'm rather fond of it myself.
Too bad you didn't use any of that affection on Margot Dorn. You quarreled with her often, isn't that true? And this is long before this business about her paying for the house.
She didn't pay for the house. She simply put 1/3 down.
Without your knowledge, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
In fact, you didn't like her meddling in your affairs and the affairs of her daughter one bit ever since you came to Monticello, true?
She never succeeded in that.
Because you fought her.
Your choice of words, Mr. Nelson, not mine.
Well, you didn't win very often because you used subterfuge. She was very clever. She lied, she cheated, she blackmailed.
Objection, Your Honor. I don't think it's necessary for the prosecutor to smear the reputation of a dead woman.
Your Honor, these are words which have been used in this court to describe the tactics of the deceased already.
Objection is denied.
Thank you. Mr. Scott, you say that your mother-in-law lied and cheated, that she used blackmail on people in order to do you harm.
I know for a fact that Margot Dorn blackmailed David Henson. She threatened to destroy his marriage unless he did what she said.
And prevent you from getting a job which you wanted very much.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, you say that you hated your mother-in-law. But you didn't hate her enough to kill her. Does that mean that when you went to the apartment that night in question that murder was not on your mind?
That's right, it wasn't on my mind.
Well, is it possible, then, that it occurred to you while you were there?
It didn't happen.
Isn't it possible, Mr. Scott, that when you were standing there face-to-face accusing her of what
I
she
never
had
was
done,
face-to-face with her.
that she became abusive, and she became violent, not at all remorseful, and this upset you even more?
That didn't happen!
Or maybe it didn't happen that way. Maybe there was no idea of murder. Perhaps just an impulse caused you to grab that poker and strike Margot Dorn.
Objection, Your Honor.
It's a simple, direct question, Your Honor. You can answer it.
Objection denied.
Thank you. You're a lawyer, Mr. Scott. I'm sure you've handled cases where someone's impulse overcomes their common sense. Isn't it possible that someone would lose their head in a moment of fury?
Mr. Nelson, anything is possible. But that didn't happen to me that evening.
Did you ever drink that night?
Yes.
More than one?
Yes.
Mr. Scott, how can you explain the fact that on her deathbed, your mother-in-law accused you of assault?
That's a lie!
You heard Dr. Corwin's testimony, didn't you?
Objection, Your Honor. The question is immaterial.
It's not immaterial. It's just testimony from another witness in the record. I'm merely asking the defendant to answer the question.
Sustained.
I would like that question stricken from the record, Your Honor.
The court recorder will do so.
All right, Mr. Scott, suppose that there were another perpetrator. Do you have any idea how this mysterious assailant could have committed this crime?
I'm afraid I have no idea.
You're sure that you searched that apartment thoroughly?
Mr. Nelson, the apartment is very small. There are only 5 rooms, 2 bedrooms, a living room, kitchen, and the den.
Oh, and a terrace, too. You keep mentioning this terrace constantly. Do you think that's how the perpetrator escaped?
Perhaps he did. I don't know. The doors were open.
Oh, it's 30 floors above the ground, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Well, do you believe that some supernatural force was involved here?
Objection, Your Honor. The question is
I
closed.
know who that man is. I remember where he's from. That. He's the man in my dream.
Excuse me, Your Honor, one moment. Well then, Mr. Scott, your conclusion is that somehow, some way, someone got into that apartment before Margot Dorn arrived, and then when she stepped out of the elevator, this mysterious person administered the blow which caused her death. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean, that seems to be the only possible solution.
And then, somehow, some way, this mysterious person just vanished into thin air, disappearing, of course, leaving you holding the poker. You know, I find that very, very difficult to believe. And I really don't see how you can believe it either, ladies and
Objection,
gentlemen.
Your Honor. Mr. Nelson is giving his summation to the jury.
Never mind, Your Honor. I'll withdraw the question. I have no further use of the witness.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would like to redirect.
Go ahead.
I have just one question. Mr. Scott, Draper, did you kill your wife's mother?
No. I certainly did not.
Thank you very much. That's all.
Witness may step down. Do you wish to call another witness?
Your Honor, I'm afraid the only witness I would like to call is the person who really did kill Margot Dorn.
Objection, Your Honor. This is a
I
theatrical
withdraw the statement, Your Honor. My apologies to the court. At this time, the defense rests.
Very well. Since both sides have rested their case, this court will be adjourned until 1:30 p.m., at which time we'll hear the summations.
All rise.
What is it? Is it the pain?
Yeah, I've been having it for half an hour now.
Now I'll get a doctor.
I think I better go to the hospital. I don't think this is a false alarm this time.